Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Directors meeting for Amtgard of Alaska Incorporated. The date is April 1st, 2018. This meeting is called to order at 8:02 p.m. There is really only a couple things on the agenda here. Let's see who we got first. Okay. All right, so we are missing the Secretary Treasurer is not here. REO for Astral Winds is here. REO for Ravenstone is here. REO for Loop and Moon. REO for Frozen Coast. Ex officio is absent. We do indeed have quorum. We shall proceed with the meeting. I have two items on the agenda, although one of them we may be tabled without the secretary here. Is there anybody that would like to motion to add anything to the agenda? All right, hearing no such motions, I will motion to move forward the agenda as presented. Can I get a second for that?
That means someone has to say seconded.
Oh. I seconded that.
All right. Motion's been seconded. Anybody opposed? Hearing no opposition, we'll move forward with the agenda as presented. So, let's see. So there was something I wanted to discuss with the board. So last month we talked about forming a formal partnership with Amtgard International as far as fundraising goes. And I've been thinking about since then what are some of the things that we can do. And it actually occurred to me that one of the easiest things, one of the simplest approaches for us might be to just literally write in an amount of money or a percentage of money just from our budget to go to Amtgard International. And I wanted to open the meeting to discussion on that topic. My thought was maybe like 5% of our budget, which is pretty small amount of money that would go towards the international organization that runs all of the online assets that we like to use, like the ORC, the Amtgard website, the AmtWiki, even the Facebook page and all that stuff. So I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I don't mind helping them. It sounds like they do a lot for us.
Were you talking about? And sorry, maybe I misheard. Were you talking about a flat dollar amount or a percentage?
A percentage.
Okay. I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but obviously that is a big difference. You know, I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of what that means.
Yeah, but my thought as far as brainstorming goes would be that we give them a nickel for every dollar we make, and that would help them pay for stuff. And one of the things that's really important for people that are either new to the concept of AI or people listening at home or whatever, Amtgard International is like as a kingdom, we have a seat on the committee that makes decisions for Amtgard International, right? Like we're not on the board of directors, so most of their work goes through the Circle of Monarchs, and everything that they do is something the Circle of Monarchs has asked them to do. So like we asked them to take over the trademark, right, of Amtgard International or Amtgard as a trademark and run that and protect it and do all that stuff. We asked them to take over the website and AmtWiki and the Amtgard org and all of that stuff. And we asked them to run that stuff for us, but we didn't give them any money to do it with. So every year they go to the Circle of Monarchs meeting and basically beg for money to accomplish the things that we ask them to do, which seems like a really silly way to do that. And I think that it's important that all of the kingdoms support Amtgard International since they sort of do all of this work at our behest. And so, I mean, there aren't a lot of kingdoms. I don't think there are any kingdoms that have any sort of formal, like, we will give them money all the time, and this is how much sort of arrangement with them. And I think that might be a cool thing for us to be the first ones to do. So,
out of curiosity, is 5% a number that we can approve as a board, or is that a number that would have to go to all thing? I know there's a certain point where the board of directors can just do it.
This would be something that would be, it wouldn't be, the way I envision it, and it would, I mean, just probably for the benefit of the membership, it would probably go to an all thing. But this would be something that we would simply write into the admin manual as a section in the budget section that just says 5% of the budget will be reserved for this process. And that'll just be part of it. So sorry, to answer your question, the board could unanimously vote to add that to the admin manual. That would be easy to do. The board is also authorized to spend up to 10% of the funds with a vote process too. So, I mean, it's totally within the board's authority to do that. But I think the appropriate way to go would be to, formalize what we want to do and then throw it to the all thing.
Totally.
I think 5% is relatively reasonable. I mean, that's not a small amount of money compared to what our budget is, but it's,
I mean,
I think it's a good number to set a precedence with, because maybe I'm probably ignorant, but I don't know of any other kingdoms that would set aside a specific percentage of their income to do stuff like this.
No, but I think that we could be trailblazers there. And that'd be okay.
We're always trailblazers, man. We're in Alaska, man.
Like I like helping things on a big picture level, and this is something because like right now, poor Amgard International, they're trying to deal with this, this lawsuit, right? Where they're trying to maintain control of our trademark from some dingbat that's trying to, just file a bunch of just ridiculous legal actions. To claim that he owns the trademark, even though I don't think he was born when Amgard started. But just even though it's totally silly and there's no way he can win the case, we still have to pay legal fees to meet him in court and do all that stuff. And they're trying to come up with money to do that, and it's a lot. I mean, they estimate that throughout the entirety of the situation, it could cost up to like $50,000. And that's just to assert our control over this thing. And that's something that they don't have any money for that. Like nobody gave them money. So I'd like to try and find ways for us to help them out. So yeah, anyway. So if that's like,
as far as kingdoms of Amtgard are concerned, financially speaking, we can help more than a lot of other kingdoms because we've done a lot of things right. We have substantial amounts of money, and a lot of Amtgard kingdoms, for some reason or another, aren't set up the way we are. So
yeah,
it's one of those things where I think we kind of have a duty to help because we have an ability to help.
Boom, and I think the unit hit it right on the head there. And Gideon also brought up a really good point in the chat there. He said that we spend a lot of time encouraging our members to give service to their regions and to the kingdom, and that on that same token, our kingdom is a member of this larger organization, and we should be also doing service to that as a kingdom. And I think that's a really good point. Like we gotta embrace that level of service from the bottom all the way to the top. So. If the board's cool with that, I think that I'd like to motion that particular item be added to the April all thing, and the item would be that we add to the admin manual that 5% of the budget will be reserved or donated to Amtgard International to use in support of Amtgard activities.
phrasing to be determined?
Yeah, I'll write the exact phrasing out and give it to the board. But
Okay.
But
I
that
would,
would be the goal of it.
Let's just
Can we-
let's just throw it right on the front page in neon rainbow letters.
I was thinking maybe May might be a better idea to give us a full month to discuss and then maybe make a decision from there, or do we want to just let it fall on its face if it does and try again, next month or 2 months from now?
We can. When is the next all things scheduled? How much time do we have right now? Hold on, pull up the calendar.
So the last one ended last week. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
it should be.
it's probably going to be the 15th to the 29th.
Yeah, I thought it was later on too. I think we had a few weeks. So, like, would that be enough time, Hunter, for you to be comfortable?
I feel something like this is big deal, particularly dealing with money and stuff like that. So people should be able to discuss and stuff like that.
It's also from when we announce it and put it on the all thing. The people have 2 weeks to discuss it online before the vote's actually counted.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What? So 5% I think is awesome. What? Assuming that was this last fiscal year for us, how much would that have actually been, like dollar value?
I gotta check. It would be just shy of $2,500, I think.
That's amazing. So I went back just so people to give that number some context for folks I went back to the Circle of Monarchs 2017 meeting minutes that happened at Clan last year, which is when they do the Circle of Monarchs. And Megiddo is the person that runs the technical subcommittee for the Circle of Monarchs. And he had asked for $5,300 or $5,800, like a little bit of a sliding thing for quality of life improvements. But just as our own kingdom, like 5% seems very small to us, but that's virtually half of the budget that entire team asked for like every electronic asset that Amguard uses as an organization, and that's really cool.
And that's super good information. So I don't see it on the calendar. So I'm going to.
It's $2,457.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good mathing. So how about Hunter? What if I set the all thing for April 21st, which means it would end on April 29th.
I think that'd be fantastic. That'll give people a lot of time to discuss and make their points. I can't imagine seeing too much resistance with the Northreach. We all like to help out and
Yeah.
be how we do. But let's make sure we have plenty of time to discuss. And that's why I asked: do we let this fall on its face and try again later, or do we give it some time to make a case? I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm trying to say, like if this fails at an all thing, like, do we want to give people time to let it fail, or do we just let it fail immediately and then try again?
No, let's give it. Well, yeah, I think your proposal is totally. I mean, your concerns are totally valid, and I think that holding the all thing towards the end of the month would give plenty of time for that. And I like when people discuss stuff and hash it out. I think we come up with better decisions that way. So, all right. So that was the fundraising option. The next one is bank account signers. I was hoping that Amanda would be here to talk about that. I don't know. For some reason, I was under the impression that that there were still people that needed to be voted on to add to the bank accounts, but I could totally be mistaken. I just wanted to give her a chance to address that. So that's something we can probably deal with in an online session if necessary. I will table it. Boom, tabled. All right, so those are all the items on the BOD agenda for today, the 1st of April. Since there was nothing else added to the agenda, I will motion to adjourn.
Second. Let's move on.
All right. Anyone opposed to adjourning? Hearing no opposition, we will adjourn the board of directors meeting at 8:17 p.m. We will move on to our Council of Crown subcommittee meeting. Here's where all the fun stuff is. All right. So we're moving into that meeting. I got the GMR is going to be absent. Well, main things here. Messages. Okay. I'm not in attendance. I haven't heard from the Kingdom Champion. Not in attendance. Certainly got here earlier. So, good. Way to go. Made it to the meeting. All right. I'll make the report section pretty fast. Okay, I guess Minibart, if you want to kick off the Kingdom Officer reports.
Sure thing. ANS and in general, park day across Northreach has been going really well. Numbers are still doing good. People are excited. Mid-rains are coming up pretty quick. We're going to start having our first ones here in about a month or so. In response to that, and just kind of to make sure that our team is staying on task, the group decided that we want to increase the number of meetings that we're having from one a month to kind of that every 2 week cycle that the rest of the council teams are doing, which I think is super duper awesome. What that means is that we're moving our meetings from the weekend to Tuesdays at 9 p.m. And the first one will be happening here on the 3rd, so here in a couple days. So that's a change for us, but we'll make sure we post and stream those like we did last time. That'll be great. And the other thing that our team is working on is putting together a sort of wish list for a Regent kit, essentially, that could include ANS supplies and a sewing machine and all that stuff. And we've talked about that a little bit. And our goal is to have those numbers all put together by this next meeting. The hope is to be able to get that project completed and approved and funded and all of that good stuff, by the end of the reign, so that we can set up the Regents coming for Northreach Reign 2 for super duper awesome success.
Awesome. Is everything on the calendar up to date?
Yeah, so the calendar should be up to date. All of the Regents are able to get in. All of the Kingdom days are on there that we have approved so far, bid-wise. And I think I even put a couple of them on there that are like, we know what the date's going to be because it's a fair, but a bid has not been accepted, so we don't have any super firm details yet.
Okay. Can you and your team start making or work with Blue and start making some Facebook events for some of this stuff?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So we can just at least get like Facebook reminders of that stuff. Might be helpful.
Sure thing.
Okay. And then can you add the King the All thing for the 22nd of April?
Yeah, okay. Give me 2 seconds here.
Or I guess, 21st of April. 21st to the 29th. All right, anything else for the council? Council, do you guys have anything for the region? All right. Hearing nothing, we will go ahead and move on. Let's hear from the Kingdom Guildmaster of Engineers. Take it away, Hunter.
Actually, that's something I've been meaning to ask about. Is I need to get funding to get swords and stuff for materials procured. So I'll probably get with Mara on that.
Probably be a good idea. You should do that soon, because it sounds like you haven't done it yet.
No, I haven't. I've been slacking, so I'll stop being a slacker. And I will get back to you. The swords are simple. Just slap some foam together, make a cover. I can put one together in like 6 minutes. So
We need like 600 or 700 of them, or 1,000 of them, or whatever. So they add up. So get with Mara. She's pretty good at procuring supplies and stuff for that. She knows where to get everything.
sounds perfect.
Okay. So yeah, make sure you get the ball rolling. Get a team of people together to help you, and give us a report at the next meeting. Does anybody on the council have anything for the Guildmaster of Engineers? Okay, we're going to move on. Let's see. Actually, I need to take 30 seconds away from the computer, and I will be right back, and then we can discuss the Frozen Odyssey bid.
Kind of wish I had hold music to play at the moment.
If only there were some catchy, popular song that you could play during intermissions like this.
No, we should play that. What's his face? The Russian dude that does the. That needs to be our hold music.
I'm not sure what I missed, but I'm sorry that I missed it. Okay, so we've got one bid that was submitted, bid A. There are no other bids for Frozen Odyssey. Has everyone had a chance to review that bid?
I absolutely backed Ellie on his Frozen Odyssey bid.
We'll vote on it in a second, but I just want to make sure everybody's had a chance to read it. So everybody has not read it? Okay.
Well, I have not read it. I'm sorry.
We don't get to vote, so.
I know, but still.
Okay, is there anybody opposed to accepting that bid? All right, hearing no opposition, we will appoint or accept Dudley's bid and appoint him as the autocrat of that event. All right, so Solstice War is the next event. I have 0 bids for that event. So currently there's nobody running it. It brings me to a topic I've been thinking about a lot lately. What do you guys, I'd like to set up some sort of precedent for how we handle events that don't have bids. So there's a default way to move, forward with the event, so that we don't have to wait till the last second or have events get canceled or whatnot. So I thought of a couple of scenarios. One is having the monarch of whatever region the event is traditionally hosted in just be responsible for it. The other is leaving it with the kingdom officers.
That seems pretty reasonable to me.
Which one? That was sort of an either or.
Well, no. Sorry, I should be more specific. Leaving it with the regional officer or the regional monarch at the time. I'm sure that would probably make the most sense than leaving it.
We put.
I like it.
I think we just ought to put the Kingdom Top 5 and the Council of Crowns names into a hat and just pull one out at random.
That's a fair solution.
I think I like the idea, but I don't really want to pick between one of those two. I think.
Well, it's not something that would tie our hands. It would just sort of be the default, I don't know, the precedent. Like, it would be what we consider the reasonable solution. But I think I would have to double check to know this for true. But I'm pretty sure that as king, I can appoint whoever I want to.
That is the case, as far as I'm.
Yeah, we just have these processes to try to help us make the best decision possible. But if there's nobody in Frozen Coast that wants to run the camping event, do we default that responsibility to say a kingdom officer, or do we default it to the regional executive officer? My personal thought is that according to our bylaws, the regional executive officer is responsible for events in that region, and so that seems like it's more in their wheelhouse. On the flip side, though, the kingdom officers have less day-to-day responsibilities, so it could go either way.
I like the precedent that it goes to an officer of the organization, either regional executive or one of the kingdom top 5. But I think on a case-by-case basis, it should be a discussion. If this is an event held in a region where the monarch is brand new and potentially overwhelmed with a bunch of things, it might be better to say appoint Minnie. But if it's going to an event in a region where the monarch is, Viscount with 4 reign periods who's got everything figured out and is just super beast at all of his regular duties, he could probably pick it up, no problem.
So what I heard you say is that Solstice War should be run by Minnie. Good idea. Be accepted.
It's not actually what I was saying, but
that's what I heard. Did everybody else hear that?
It's not exactly what I heard, but I can kind of understand that Minnie would make an excellent autocrat for Solstice Wars.
So,
unless we can have Solstice Wars in Anchorage, in which case I'd totally be down to do Solstice Wars. Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited to maybe rub elbows with another sword knight.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to appoint Puppet as autocrat of Solstice War. Minnie Bar, are you able to give him a hand?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Moving down to the Ren Fair. Have you guys all seen the Ren Fair bid? Anybody have any commentary?
Sorry, man, I unmuted my mic just in time to burp. I was looking at it earlier. I was looking at it on my phone. That's why I don't have a tab open. Facebook, do the thing. Okay, so that was my question. With are we concerning ourselves at all with where did I see that? Weapon budget. That's already handled, right?
Yeah. If you look at the bid, let me pull it up here real quick. So the actual request for bid kind of goes into that, and let's see, what Ren Fair here. So yeah, sword making is not a part of that, the duties of that autocrat, nor are they part of that budget. So I'm looking through here, and maybe, I guess if somebody wasn't really paying attention to what the Kingdom was doing this year, they may not quite understand that, because the request for bid does just say that all sword sales must be coordinated with the Guildmaster of Engineers. So, yeah. I think, I'm looking at stuff over here, I think it would probably, looking at the expenses, because if you take out the, let's see. I'm thinking that since it's not super clear in the bid here, that the 200 swords, I think it's intended to come from the Guildmaster of Engineers, not that they were going to make that many. So what I'm seeing here is that they plan to spend about $1,400, and that they anticipate making $3,000 to $4,000 from the arena, the fighting arena, and then if they're able to sell 200 swords from the supplied from the Guildmaster of Engineers, then they would make $3,000 to $4,000 from that. That seems super duper low. Like, we've had Ren fairs where we sold like 600 weapons. But I think that I don't know. I mean, those are all definitely within the realm of possibility. So, but this is the only Ren fair bid we've got, and whoever's running it needs to start like yesterday. So, I will open the topic for general discussion with the committee. You guys got anything?
So, I don't mean to come across super harsh or rude, but just looking at the bid, I've, knowing the bidder, I have no problem thinking about them running the event, but reading the bid, it seems kind of rushed and unprepared. So I'm just a little concerned about that.
I don't personally like the pricing on the fighting arena as per. That is a big moneymaker because it really doesn't cost us any overhead to do that. I mean, obviously our site fee's there, but that's just a site fee. So I guess that's the overhead. But beyond the overhead, fighting arena, $3 for 3 rounds. I still think we could squeeze a little bit more out. $3 or $5 for 3 rounds. That's nice round 5s. People like 5s and 10s and stuff like that. But all in all, despite how I don't know, it seems a bit bare bones, but I think it would work. But
yeah, and I mean, we can talk to the autocrat about pricing and stuff. The way I look at it, having been at the Ren Fair a lot, you have to look at when it comes to pricing out the arena. You just have to look at supply versus demand, right? Because if it's $3 to get in, but if we're not fully packed all the time, then they're raising the price simply. It will deter some people and reduce it because I think we have more supply than we have demand in general because the arena doesn't cost anything once we're in there. But again, we can sit there and play with that. In the past, we've done. I think we started at $1, and then we've recently gone to 3, and 3's been pretty successful. 5, I don't know. 5 might work, it might not. But we tend to make a decent amount of money off of 3. That's done pretty good. And we can always do like, I don't know, they've done things in the past where they'll do like a discount on buying multiple fights at once. And we've had parents just drop their kids off with like $20 and let them fight for whatever.
Yeah, it's not a big deal as long as we, we're making money because that's definitely a big money maker for us.
Sure,
it's a lot less man hours for a lot more people coming in and participating. If you know what I mean. As far as our customer base would be concerned,
right.
State fair is quite a bit more hardcore as far as man hours compared to how many people we have roll through. Yeah, so Ren fair is definitely an important thing to make sure we get the best out of what we can get.
Okay. I guess we need to figure out what to do with this bid. So, is there any opposition to accepting this bid?
So the budget breakdown still doesn't quite make sense to me because it's got a budget allocated for weapons and an income allocated for weapons, whereas our annual budget that we have approved, all of the weapon creation budget comes out of its own fund, and all of the weapon income budget goes into its own fund. So
well, to be fair, there's a couple things here. Like historically, we've always separated arena swords from swords for selling. Like they generally have its own like sub budget. And if you were to make like 20 decent swords at $20 a piece, that would probably be about right. And that's probably about how many they would go through. So that's I'm assuming that's what that's for.
okay.
The other thing is that in let's see, in the bid, we ask for a let's see, where's that? We ask for a detail of the income for the event. So I think he's just adding it in there. We sort of ask for it.
Okay. So as far as the one second, let me so the cost for the event at $1,400. And then the income for the event, not including sword sales, would be estimated at, which makes sense when compared to the roof. So I think that all sounds good.
Okay. So again, any opposition to accepting the bid?
Not on my end. It looks good.
All right. Hearing no other opposition, we will go ahead and accept this bid. I will appoint Kraken as the autocrat. Hunter as the Guildmaster of Engineers and as the Regional Executive Officer for that region. I'm going to ask that you work with Kraken on that. And,
Not a problem.
Awesome.
I like Kraken. He's a cool guy.
All right. So the next event that had a bid expiration date pass is the Tanana Valley State Fair up in Fairbanks. So with no bids being accepted, Puppet, you have the autocrat of that. Minibar, would you give my hand?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try. You know, the reason that I didn't put a bid in for that was the same reason that it's going to be tough to give him a hand, and that's because that's, you know, Wolf's Cry clan and all that stuff crammed into that like same 2-week span. So,
Sure.
But I'll give it a whirl.
That can be done though.
What's that? I'm sorry.
There's lots of prep work that needs to be done.
Yeah, for sure. I think historically it's just been more of a problem of trying to like get bodies to be there during the times. But yeah, we'll do what we can.
Okay. I mean, explore it too. Like if it's not a feasible event for us, just report back. We don't have to do it if we just don't have enough volunteers to fill the booth, or if it's gonna cost us too much or whatever.
I know a lot of people that can help me with that during that event.
Okay.
So I don't bodies would be the issue.
All right. So, Wolf's Cry. There's no bids for that. That's kind of a big one. So, Hunter, are you up for that?
I am up for that. And I apologize for not having a bid ready. I got a little bit discouraged when my grand plan kind of seemed like it might have fallen apart. But as far as handling it goes, I got it.
Okay.
In conjunction with how we've done in the past years. But my master plan probably isn't going to follow through, but that's all right.
Okay, well, if you're going to do anything like absolutely crazy, give us a heads up.
We'll keep it simple this year, but I would like to figure out how to make Wolf's Cry a gigantic event where people wait in the stands and watch us beat the crap out of each other.
I'm down, man. Hey, I support your vision. Let's do it.
One day.
All right, so Hunter, you the autocrat, and I'll be around to give you a hand with that. So I'll work with you on it, and if there's anything I can do, just let me know. Highland Games. Gideon, that one's going to be all yours. We have no bids for that. So that's on you guys. Make it awesome. And then so upcoming events. Oh. Just tell your top five to chill out, man.
Sorry.
SenshiCon is coming up here. Bids are due for that on the 1st of May, as well as the Alaska State Fair in Palmer. So be ready for that. And then the Dungeon Crawl bid due date is July 1st. So those are all of the event bid updates. Does the council have any questions or comments on that?
I will make sure that SenshiCon is blown up during the next was spring muster this month.
Yeah.
Make sure people know that they need to get their bid in for SenshiCon.
Okay. So we move on to agenda item number 4 then. New event updates. Gideon, do you have any updates on the Bear Paw Festival? He was having mic issues earlier, so he might be typing something up.
Do you want me to talk about the Midnight Sun thing while he's responding? Seeing as that's next.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was jumping. I thought it was second for some reason.
That's okay. Go.
I'm talking. I'm doing it anyway. So, Midnight Sun Festival, Sunday, June 24th, from 12 p.m. till midnight, so noon to midnight, essentially. I took a look at the calendar. We actually have like at least 1 week on either side of that before between other events. I think it's like 2 weeks before and a week after that we're not doing anything. So it could definitely be something that the kingdom, spends time doing. It's $110 for a booth for nonprofit rates, which is pretty cheap, and an additional $55 for any additional booths. So you can get up to 2 extra ones to give you more space. So if we wanted to do an arena, and the booths are 10 by 10 apiece. That kind of gives us an idea of like what sort of investment we would be looking at. It's a 12-hour time period. Sorry, go ahead.
What was that cost again?
$110 per booth, and those are 10 foot by 10 foot, and then we can spend an additional $55 to get more booths essentially.
Okay, so for $200 we can have 3 booths.
Correct. Yeah, we can have like a 10 by 30 space.
I think that's totally worth it.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's like 12 hours. There are always a ton of people there, including tourists, and we can totally do a fighting booth, and tourists will get all excited about it. I think it's definitely something that we should pursue.
Okay. Is that something you're willing to take on and sort of autocrat personally?
If I may.
Yeah, please.
Minnie, since you mentioned June 24th is the date for that, and while it's not on the calendar, I just wanted to make sure I let you know that is the date that Deli's bid for autocrat of Frozen Odyssey is set for.
Oh man, my bad. Okay. Still, I mean, it's a relatively low impact thing, so it could definitely be staffed by folks that aren't going to be making it down for Frozen Odyssey. Like we would need like 3 people for 12 hours. It shouldn't be too challenging. But good point. Thank you. I apologize for overlooking that.
So back to my previous question.
You
organize and spearhead that?
I think I can organize it. I really want to go to Frozen Odyssey, but I can definitely. I know. Yeah, I know how the autocrat deal works. Yes, I will do that. That's fine.
Okay. All right, so Gideon replied, and he said that the Bearpaw Festival has no vendor spaces remaining, but there is a wait list, and he asked if we wanted to be on it, and I told him yes. So Gideon will put us on wait list. Be a cool, like, sort of a smaller event. I like these smaller ones, these things that like are for a day or two, because it's really easy for us to set up a fighting arena and sell some swords, without a whole lot of investment from our people or anything really. It's generally pretty cheap, so that's good. Hopefully we can get into that. Pirate Pub Crawl. We talked about making this a social event. Hunter, you got anything to add on that?
Nope. Pirate Pub Crawl is starts at 7 p.m. on September 15th, which will not be something that I oversee because it will be too late unless I decide to run again.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. But other than that, I used to help out with the Pirate Pub Crawl when I was a slightly younger man. It's a great time. It's a 21 and up event, so it's for the adults. But it's still a blast. People get dressed up. I'm sure more than a few people have something that would pass as pirate, and we could go around with flyers if that's what we wanted to do, and it'd probably be a fun time and drink a couple beers, and it'd be great.
Cool. Blue, bring us up to speed on the Progress Day Parade.
Yeah, so it's still the 28th, 29th of June. It's a 2-day event. One of the days is a giant parade. The other day is like a fair with a bunch of vendor booths. We could probably do both really easily. I'm still waiting for the City of Soldotna Department of Commerce to open up the application for that, because either they haven't or I haven't been able to find it because I looked yesterday.
Okay. Keep looking and let us know how we can get on that.
Totally.
Okay. Any other commentary on the new events? All right, I will leave it up to you guys to make those things happen. Moving on to regional audits. So there was some question from the Kingdom Prime Minister on what the formal process was for regional audits. And I wanted to sort of review that here with you guys. Right now, we haven't really done a really great job of doing these audits or reviewing them. So right now, all of the regional prime ministers do a monthly report they give to the Kingdom Prime Minister, which has all of the elements that we would look for in an audit in them. My suggestion is that we just pick two calendar months that are 6 months apart, and then just review the previous 6 Prime Minister audits for each region, and that would be our audit process. Does that make sense?
So, kind of. Basically, we need to make sure the prime ministers are doing their jobs. Is that what you're getting at here?
No. The bylaws call for us to do a semi-annual audit of each of the regions. And that's how we determine things like land status and stuff like that. But it doesn't call out specifically how that's supposed to happen, just that it has to happen.
All right. So that makes a little bit. I remember this. I think it was about this time last year dealing with Astro Winds. So I remember this.
Did a great job of reporting stuff on a monthly basis. Rather than doing like a big 6-month audit, I figured it would basically accomplish the same thing to just review those monthly audits, just the previous 6 of them, and then we could do that either to coincide with Prime Minister stepping down or right before we step down or something like that.
I think that would be something handy to do with the prime minister swaps.
Okay, so like May and October then?
Yeah, I think that would be best, and that saves a little bit of, not, maybe headache isn't the right word. It moves the process around the calendar a little bit more, so that happens. At the end of a prime minister's thing, they can go back through and say, "Oh, here's this," and then the next person, they know that they have to do that, and when their term is coming around, they know that they're going to have that ready.
Right. Okay. So
I
then,
also think
my suggestion or my proposal based on that would be that we perform the audits in October and May, and then it count the preceding 6 months. So basically be like November or October through April, and then May through September. Right? Something like that. Does that work for everybody else?
absolutely.
Okay. So I'm putting that in the notes right now. March all thing results. So we have 4 things on the all thing agenda for March. Item number 1 was the creation of a Crown Falls Review Committee, which passed overwhelmingly. There was 1 person that abstained and like 35 or so people that said, yes, let's do that. So we should probably do that. Let's see. So that leaves 2 questions. 1, how do we form the committee? And 2, how much time do we give them to do the job?
I think the first step of forming the committee, they need to be a regular member.
As far as deadline is considered, I think it'd be really great if we could have the committee formed and have them get back to us soon enough that what they come up with can be implemented at Crown Qualls, which is...
Now, I'm going to veto that right now. That's 3 months.
Okay.
3 months is not enough time for somebody to research something, present something to both us and the membership, and then have it incorporated in time for people that are actually running for office to prepare for that.
That's fair.
Like, wait, this is a bylaw change. So let's give it the time it deserves to do it the right way, so that we don't end up doing this every 6 months. So in the past, and this is just for your guys' knowledge of precedent, in the past when we've had committees such as the Corp Committee, we have appointed a chairperson and then had the chairperson sort of select members and then bring them to the COC for confirmation. That way they can try to get a team of people together that they work well with, but that we still have the ability to say, no, that person would not be good for this job. Would such a process work for this council, or would you guys prefer to explore other options?
I think that process would work just fine. The question, of course, being who do we appoint as chairperson?
Well, we would ask for volunteers, and then we would come back and discuss that as a committee and select one of them.
Okay. And would that just be, informally asking for volunteers, or do you want to bid for the chairperson of this committee?
No, I'll post and say who's interested, and then
Okay.
maybe have them. I mean, because really they shouldn't be coming to the table with a preconceived notion of what they want to do. Because the purpose of the committee, according to the all thing, was to research and present alternatives. So we want them to go out and with a sort of blank slate the whole thing, right? Like just say with no preconceived notions, just go out and research stuff, come back as a committee, brainstorm some alternatives and bring those back to the COC.
Okay.
So, since I don't hear any opposition to that process, are you guys okay with me just putting a post out to the Facebook page asking for volunteers? I can give it enough time that you guys can also discuss it at your local membership meetings, so that people can get to you and then you can get to me or something like that. I can put it up for 10 days or so. Is there anybody who would be opposed to that?
Works for me.
All right. Who TV am I listening to? All right, so there were 3 other things on the all thing. Item number 2 was the reduction in crown quals for Monarch and Regent from 7 to 5. That failed. Item number 3 was adding crown quals requirements for GMR. That one also failed. And the last one was exempting current officers from crown call requirements if they ran for the same office again. That item also failed. Okay, so those are all the all-thing items for March. Does the council have any comments or discussion for those items? Have anything for the April all thing? And I have the one item, which will be the 5% for Encounter International. And other than that, I don't have anything for the April agenda at this time. Everybody had their mid-range scheduled? Anybody not have their mid-range scheduled? By scheduled, I mean actively on the calendar. I can go look for it right now. Everybody's got their stuff on the calendar. They're ready to go. That's awesome. Okay, let's start advertising those. I know that some of our members like to travel around for that. Please make sure to advertise what the events or activities will be at your mid-range. If you're going to host a tournament, if you're going to do an ANS event, things like that, give people lots of heads up. That'll do nothing but encourage that they attend your event. All right, so now we've got regional concerns. So this is a chance where you guys as REOs can talk about regional stuff that's going on in your area that you want to bring up to the council. So typically we go north to south, so I'm going to start with Astral Winds. Puppet, do you have any regional concerns?
No, not at this moment.
Okay. Ravenstone? He might be typing. Nope, he says no regional concerns. All right. Hunter Luke Moon.
My region is asking for money to help reconstruct our loaner bin in Lupa Moon here. He wants to use that as an ANS, like, hey, hey, come help us rebuild our loaner bin. And he is putting in a request for a bribe the reeve for the funding for that. So we don't dip into this year's discretionary fund too terribly much.
Oh, okay. Where's our budget at? Why can't I find it? Blue, you had the budget pulled up earlier, right?
Did I mute my mic?
Yeah, 1 second. What
No.
was the budget item you're looking for?
Where's the file stored at? I'm drawing a blank here. What folder is it in?
I don't know. I was just searching in the Google Drive
Oh,
for budget.
That's smart. I could probably do that. I'm silly sometimes. Okay, so
All right, I'm pulling it up again.
so no, you guys were given $1,200 for operations.
Am I reading this discretionary budget wrong? Let's see here. Events, fundraisers.
I mean, yeah, so not including your site rentals.
Oh,
For
that's
2007,
that's what that's for. I thought that was just like an emergency fund. Like,
no,
don't
it's for
touch that.
it's for anything that's not. That's for you to do operations.
Oh, okay. Cool beans.
So, I mean, that's for 2017/18. So it's got to last your region until next February. But, I mean, you're already approved for $1,200.
Oh, that makes me feel way better about everything right now.
So, if you guys want to hold and provide the reeve to make Northreach more money, that's awesome. Please do that. But you don't need to do that in order to build swords. You should
Perfect.
do both. I think you should do both of those things.
All right, I know a little bit more about the budget now. I feel
No,
good.
we intentionally, I don't know, sort of de-specified some of the items in the budget because it became very difficult to, I don't know, to be as agile as we needed our organization to be when we essentially were approving line items that were so tiny that it just didn't give you the flexibility to run your group. So we just kind of put it all together and said, here's a pool of money to just run your activities. Please don't be dumb with it. And that's what that comes from. So basically,
Well,
if you guys,
that's good to know that that's what that's for. Because, like, man, I've been pulling my hair out. Like, man, how are we going to pay for this? Because the discretionary budget's not much.
no, you guys have got plenty of budget because we already set aside $2,700 or $3,350 just for your site fee rentals or for your regular meetings. And then on top of that, we expect you to spend money on things like mid-rain and stuff like that. So.
Well, that's good to know that that's specifically what that money's for. I was like, man, that's got to be like some kind of crazy emergency fund. Like, we got to get somebody to the hospital.
No. You've also, as Guild Master of Engineers, you got a $5,000 budget for making swords. So
I'll try to make sure those things stay as separate as possible.
Yes,
and by
please
that,
do.
I mean they're absolutely separate.
okay.
But yeah, anyway, that's good to know. I might be able to score us a little bit of better price.
Yeah.
Particularly everybody else. If you guys need foam for fixing up stuff, like, we might be able to get a sweet deal with the company, and they might discount us foam and PVC and stuff. So maybe we should get together on that sometime if you guys need new loaner opens.
Sweet. Okay. Any other regional concerns for Astra Winds?
Negative.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said Astra Winds. Thanks for replying. I meant Lupin. I'm tired. Did you have anything else?
No, I'm all good on my end. That you answered a lot of my questions, so thank you very much.
That's what I'm here for. All right. Frozen Coast. You got any regional concerns?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Ice Fire Bay is not present. Anybody know if they have any regional concerns? All right. Then does anybody have anything for the council before we move into closed session? Okay. Then we will go ahead and sign off here. Thank you, everybody, for paying attention at home and keeping up with these meetings. And the rest of the council hang tight. We got one thing to talk about once we're no longer live. So good night, everybody else.